I want to talk about polarities. This is something I think is really, really important for us to find ways of tapping into the inevitable polarity of everything. We are constructed out of the function of polarities, equal opposites. We're so saturated in it we don't even realize, okay? The reason we can see is because of the differential between light and dark. There's blindness in pure white light and pure darkness. Okay? It's the distinguishing between the different degrees of light and dark which allows us to perceive and see physically. And I've begun to have a realization that this is a principle that can guide us as we strive towards greater wisdom. Okay? So there is a verse I found quite a few years ago that caught my eye, and I hope you will appreciate it too. It's in Isaiah 45. And listen to it, because it gives a lot of insight on the nature of our Creator, the force that's created us. It says, "The one forming light and creating darkness, causing well-being and creating calamity. I am the Lord," or Yahweh, Jehovah, the Tetragrammaton, "who does all these." So first of all, the word Lord, or the name of God, interestingly, one of the meanings that it can be linked to is the cause. Okay, the cause. So why did I find this scripture interesting? Well, it says the one forming light and creating darkness, causing well-being and creating calamity. Well, I believe this verse is actually discussing when polarity came into existence. When light was created, darkness simultaneously was created. And I was thinking about this. It's like, okay, so you have a ladder, okay? And you want to take a step up. Well, every time you take a step up, the ability to take a step down is automatically created, okay? Or say you just have a flat ground, so neutrality. Let's say the ground is neutrality, but you want a hill. How can you make a hill if it's just flat? You could dig a hole. And as you dug a hole and you made a hill, what would happen? There would be a hole. Okay, equally opposite to the hill, which is like what this verse is alluding to, the one forming light and creating darkness. So it's like, the two come into existence. But what we choose to focus on, you see, is part of our emergence as a maturing species. Is it that we are coming into the understanding of how to use the polarities? We know that darkness is not always bad. We know that. We know at night, we shut the lights out so we can go to sleep. Okay? So it seems that these features of the polarity, when they're in the wrong place, that's when there's a problem. That's when there's an issue. Okay? So now, Why am I bringing this up? I want to show you a picture, okay? You see this picture? You see this picture? This is an artist's rendition from a story of a Norse goddess of hell with one L. And the reason I'm showing you this is I actually had a profound dream a year or so ago, which one day I'll tell you the story of that dream. But in that dream, I looked in the mirror and saw my face, but rendered very similar to this picture. And this side of my face was like a decaying, living, mummified, state of death. It was unbelievable. And the other side was just like perfection, beauty, like angelic, divine, like the absolute two extremes of these two opposite states. And I mean, the dream was, oh, wow, man, it was a really cool dream. I had a visitation in that dream. Now, why am I mentioning this? The reason I'm mentioning this is occasionally I will come across very, very intelligent people that have done phenomenal research all their lives, and they've really learned a lot of interesting things. And they start really criticizing the Bible or its origins, or they'll say, like it was written to manipulate us, and it's not true, or the story of Jesus is not true, and on and on and on and on. And I would say that could be true. Yes, there really could have been people that influenced the Bible a lot. And maybe they were trying to mislead us, distract us. Like I'll give you an example. The one person was saying, in his opinion, the story of Jesus is totally fiction. He wasn't a real person. Okay, maybe not. But that's okay. You see? Because what if, because of polarities, even when someone tries to lie, the truth is equally present, no matter what. Just like the ladder, when you take a step up, the ability to take a step down comes into existence. And what if, by this divine, incredible, wise way of having the nature of our reality created, that we have the ability to discern truth through the mirror effect. Okay, so if someone's trying to deceive you, okay, like, let's just say, I personally believe Jesus was a real person, but for the sake of argument and respecting other people that might think it's purely a fictitious story, okay? Well, even if that's so, say it was fictitious, why try to make that fictitious story? And some people say, oh, well, it's because they're trying to get us to think that we don't participate in, the constructive change, but that we are inferior and we have to wait to be rescued. Okay. Okay, I can see that, that might be a sort of self-defeating. I get that. I mean, to receive help is not wrong. I mean, we help each other all the time. But even if it's a fictitious story, the seed of the concept that a human being can be more empowered, that a human being can have divine wisdom, divine insight, that a human being can interact, through the quantum field, okay? is inspired by that story of this person we call Jesus, even if it was fictitious, which I don't believe it was, still a beautiful seed of potentiality for our beliefs about ourselves can be transformed. You see, so this is why I think the Bible is so special. Because even if parts of it, big parts of it, I don't know, may have been written to mislead, it's like every piece of darkness has an equal piece of light to counteract it. Just like that picture of that woman's face I showed you. And what if our ability to choose is connected to our ability to discern light from darkness? And what if it's an innate ability that hasn't been developed, but is there, lying dormant in us? And there are lessons, mirroring lessons in everything, okay? So I'll give you another example of this, hypothetically. I was thinking about fission power and fusion power, because where I live, there are some barges that are parked on the shore of our river that actually carried the ore during the Second World War that was later transported and used to build the bombs that dropped on Hiroshima. The actual barges are parked here where I live. And so I think about, nuclear bombs and this destructive force. Fission breaks everything apart. And then there's fusion, which is this other power, which it brings it together. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, that destructive power, it's all mechanical. It's just metal. It's not like anything to do with organics. And it just busts things apart and then creates all this pollution and radiation. And then, I was looking, and they're trying to make these fusion reactors where, it creates matter. And then I had this idea pop in my head. And I thought, oh my goodness, what if that's what we are? What if that's what we are? What if we are powered by organic fusion? Fusion between these two states, like the spirit state and the density state. And there's this, and maybe that's the energy that actually makes us alive. And so here's an example of using very opposite. If you can see one side, try to imagine what is the greatest equal opposite to that. And so, the nuclear bombs that are utterly destructive and non-living and, just from metal, it's the opposite of life and biology and creation. And then I thought, well, maybe that's how the miracles were performed. The miracles, it's like living creation. Maybe that's what creation is this fusion of, is this densifying of from the quantum field, condensing down and down and down and making energy and making matter, so, and one is a biological state and one is a non-living state, and one is, basically on the path to just, death and destruction, and the other is the creative path of growth and renewal and upbuilding and is biological. And so that's just an example, one example, but I think this ability to look at things this way, there could be a lot of helpful insights we might glean if we can look at life, look for metaphors, and look for an equal opposite lesson that might be embedded in the event that we're observing. Okay? And yeah, I just wanted to share that because there's got to be something to this polarity and us learning how to use the polarities, because like what I'm doing right now with my fingers, I think is one of the best examples. Is, you know, our thumb, we can push on things, right? And our finger, right? But they move opposite to each other. Now, we can do incredible creative things with our hands because of our thumb being the equal opposite or the polarity of the fingers. And the fine-tuning and use of this complementary use of these equal opposite forces our finger and thumb press against each other. This is the relationship of the polarities. And I think this is what we are also on the verge of really coming to understand and perceive. And again, is alluded to in these ancient scriptures, the one I just read you. I hope you enjoy that, and I just wanted to share that with you guys.